1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, the microphone works. Wonderful. I'm going to plug in my computer, but meanwhile, could you please raise your hand if you answered the quiz that was sent out? Yes, that's a lot of people actually. Let's start. My name is Ola Rosling, by the way. Could you just clap your hands for all those who responded? A big applause. No, a big applause. Bigger. Yes, good. And thank you, Martin, for fixing the USB-C cord there. A big applause, because we're going to look at your results, and there will be no opportunity to clap hands, unfortunately. It was a knowledge quiz, and knowledge doesn't come naturally to humans. We have to actually learn it. First, let's try. How many of you are English speakers by native origin? Very few. So it's difficult for the rest of us to know how to pronounce this statement. Can anybody pronounce it? I count to 3 and we all pronounce what's on the slide. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, exactly. You have to go down at the end. Times like these. That's very good. Yeah, that's how to say it. So here is a fact question where you answer driven by the times like these sentiment. How many people live in low-income countries? In 1990, it was 58%. And you see, all the questions were ABC questions. Very big difference between the options. Let's look at the data. I mean, the options here is 9% left in low income, or is it 60%? The data looks like this. These are all the countries in the world. You're soon going to get the right answer. You see the income here is GDP per capita, dollars per day. You 10 times increase your income on this axis is the same pace. There's child mortality. Okay, the big bubbles there are China and India. The colors are blue is Africa. Okay, you see, this is a worldview, and this is what the world looks like in your heads. And that's what the world looked like in 1950. That was long time ago. Is there anybody here from the 1950s? No, but your worldview is, yeah, there is one guy there, okay. Did you talk a lot to him or what? These countries were back then, or in the 60s, they were called developing countries. It's such a simple word, so it stuck for a very long time. 90% of humanity lived in those countries. You're not supposed to call them developing countries any longer. Now, the new fancy word is global south. Okay, we're switching every now and then, but the concept is the same. The many bad countries. Donald Trump makes it easier. He called them shithole countries. It's the same idea that they are all bad, but that was in the 1950s. The world has changed. Child mortality dropped everywhere because people are not stupid. Parents do everything they can to save their children with antibiotics, vaccination, world peace, and water and food. Child mortality has dropped everywhere. This is a different world. That was in 1990, I asked. 58% lived in low-income countries. What happened since then? When parents were educated and children survived, this is what happened. The biggest economic miracle in human history during our lifetime. Why don't we know it? Why did you answer the question wrongly? How on earth? What have you been watching? Okay, today 9% are stuck. I have adjusted this for inflation, etc. These are low-income countries. They have civil wars, pretty much all of them. The rest have entered the world market. Yes, they have tales of extreme poverty, many of the middle-income countries. That's where majority of humanity lives now. We say emerging economies, as if that was an exception. No, that's pretty much all of them. Right? They didn't bring everybody with them, of course. And then we, high-income countries, we have the identity crisis. How are we going to get richer? We can't steal anybody else's technology. We have to be innovative. We have to innovate sustainable future, right? Okay, so let's go back to the question. That's the correct answer. How many picked that when I asked it with Ipsos Mori in 32 countries? First, I need to comfort you. These are the results from online polls in 32 countries, and okay, don't clap your hands. Here are your results. 12% of you picked the right answer. Amazing. The others pick another answer. In Sweden, we were worse, so you're better than the Swedes. Definitely. Yeah, that's great. Let's say, don't clap your hands. You shouldn't compare yourself with Swedes. You have to have much higher standards. If you put ABC on bananas and throw thousands of them into the chimpanzees, they are going to pick the right answer 33% of the time. How on earth did you do this? Monkeys cannot do what you just did. Pick the wrong banana all the time. Humans can do that because we have misconceptions and we signal that we care. So when I ask about poor people, look, half of you picked the worst option because you care. You have big hearts. That's good. Monkeys also have hearts, but they want to eat, right? So humans can do this. I tested, I want to comfort you. You see, it's just what humans do. We're driven by feelings. I asked actually the foreign correspondents at the public broadcaster TV station in Sweden, tax-funded TV. Those who go out in the world and tell the Swedes what the world look like. Here is their result. It's the worst I ever had. Yeah, laugh at them. Ah, stupid idiots. Yeah, that's what humans do. We shame each other. We're so afraid of being shamed, but that's what we do as soon as we're in the winning team, right? How is this possible? Well, a human brain works like this. When we fill it with dramatic news, we end up distorted in the same way, all of us. That's fascinating, right? We can fix that because it's systematic misconceptions. I want to split the countries now. Now it's the size is child deaths instead of population size. If we split, for example, Nigeria and India, let's zoom in. And the child mortality within countries, the difference is larger than between countries. The hidden pockets of poverty in countries. Look, all the countries are now split into 10 deciles. And we can see how the poorest 10th have much higher child mortality in all countries. The pattern is so simple. So yes, it is about money. Do you have children? Are they dead? Why are we here today? It's because we're alive, right? When people don't have that money, kids die even though we have the cure. There's no innovation needed to save these children because with money, like in Sweden, kids don't die. Almost nobody dies, right? If we look at child mortality over income, the poorest 10% had 2 million of the 5 million child deaths last year, or in 2024, right? So the rest of us, the 10%, we are the richest 10% in the world, or even richer, right? We hardly have any child deaths at all. This is what the world looks like. But here is the money. In this room here today is the money, right? How do we transfer it to those who have no money so they can enter a world market and produce things that are sustainable for the future? That's the big challenge. We cannot leave those, that billion behind. There's no reason to do it. They still have 6 children per woman because children is an economic resource on that income level. Let's look at CO2 emissions. Over the last 200 years, look over GDP per capita, CO2, the size is the CO2 total emission per person on that axis. That was 200 years of CO2 emission increase. Look, China came there lately. Of course, with more money, more CO2 emission. Problem, right? We wanted to bring those out of poverty, and then they're going to start emitting. Yeah, but we are so much above the others. Look at the US, Russia, China is in the middle there. The big bubbles, big CO2 total. But let's go back 20 years, or actually to 2005, yeah. There was a question in the quiz I asked, what happened in the EU and the North America in terms of CO2 emission? Do you care about climate? Yeah, you care, but do you know about climate change? You're struggling to reduce emissions, but you didn't know that in the Western world, CO2 emissions has declined. What we are doing works. Let's do more of it. You need to convey success stories every now and then because there is some distance to reach zero, and we actually need to reach zero. But we need to know about the success. We can't just say in times like these all the time. No, we're actually doing something right. People need to know. The majority in our countries have no idea about these things. Okay, within country differences in terms of CO2 looks like a mirror of child mortality. The richest 10% emit 20 times more than the poorer 50%. In US and in India, same pattern pretty much everywhere. It's not perfect data, but roughly that's what it looks like. Okay, so CO2 on the same picture looks like this. And this is the challenge. Combining these two is sustainable development, right? There is the money and there is the CO2. So we need to become sustainable because everybody wants to reach this level of living standard, right? These people still need development, but the majority of mankind are somewhere in between the poorest and the richest. We are the elephant in the room, right? So preparing a sustainable lifestyle on this income level, we won't do it if we keep watching the world through this lens. That's why we use statistics, right? Instead of this is true. It's not fake news that is the problem. I'm measuring misconceptions in my foundation, Gapminder, which I founded with my father, Ola Rosling. He is dead now. That's why he's not here. We are alive. That's why we are here, right? We can't watch these things and believe they show the world. They show the drama. These are true pictures, but they are extremely selective. They are the drama pictures, which evolutionary, we were designed to look for drama, to run away from dangerous people and lions. And we end up with the dramatic worldview, which is the same in all our heads. That's why we feel so bad. Do you have children? Are they feeling good? We have a depression epidemic among teenagers in all the rich countries, increasing year by year. What are we conveying to them? Are we telling them that some things are going in the right direction? Or do they see grown-ups who only convey negative developments? I think so. So please go home and tell them about good things. Because when I tested you with 15 questions, these are your results. The monkey scores 33%. So the majority of the questions you were below monkey level. And it was so predictable. That's what I do, yeah? I'm not doing education. No, I'm not a scholar or anything. I'm testing people, and my job is to bring people up to monkey level, right? Then education can take off. We shouldn't be more wrong than random, but we are in a very predictable way. And the Swedish broadcasters, it's a system. It's not in this room. No, it's the whole society. These are radio public service in Finland, in Netherlands. Somebody from Netherlands, the public broadcasters don't know shit, okay? The school inspection in Sweden, they design curriculum, they shut down schools. Curriculum designers in the UK. Predictable ignorance everywhere I go. It's so fun job I have. I compare people with monkeys everywhere. Because the human brain is selective, only looking at drama. So the distorted worldview is the same everywhere I come. Fascinating, right? Like a visual illusion. When we show this to our kids, we don't shame them. Do you think the lines are parallel? No. Shame on you, you're stupid. No, that's not what we do. We say, be curious. How does the human brain work? This is fascinating. How can we all be wrong in the same way? I find it extremely fascinating. That's what Gapminder is doing, comparing the perception with reality, statistics, usually quite good. Often the perception is far away from the uncertainty range of the data. Anyway, here are your results. I asked you to guess your results, and these are your guesses, a little bit humble, above average, middle. There is a humble person there, a woman, or two of you, who thought, oh, maybe I scored 2. Here is the actual result. That person was the most realistic in the room. Look at those who scored 0. Actually, looking at the numbers, the monkey would score 5 on 15, right? The humans predictably score below. So don't be ashamed of it felt bad getting 1 out of 15, right? No, it's pretty usual. That's exactly what everybody has. 17% above random. I asked also what AI would get on this test, right? AI scores, this is what you guessed. Very optimistic, love AI. And then there are people who hate AI also behind there. Okay, here are the actual scores from XAI and all the others. They were kind of similar because they are fed with human misconceptions, so they replicate. Still better than the people in this room, right? But they will cheat the children in the school if kids trust it 100%. Okay, that was like a summary, 9.8. We wrote the book Factfulness, which tried to help people become humble. We can't get rid of our drama instincts, but we should be aware of them. And we should know that we are often wrong. That's why we need to fact check all the time. I just want to summarize with the everything is getting worse emotion. This is hunger, trends. Show this to your teenagers. It should continue going down, the share of people being hungry. Child labor. Anybody loves child labor? You can leave the room now. It has gone down, right? It's excellent. It should continue. HIV infection, we hardly talk about it. Ozone depletion gases, we stopped using them. Solar panels. Humans are capable of change, right? It's amazing. Oil tank spills hardly happen because we have double hulls. That's why we don't see it in the news and don't talk about it. And we don't convey it to the young generation. That change happened because we found a solution. Life expectancy, we're here because it's 40 years longer than it used to be. Wow. Harvest per area is absolutely fascinating what changes humans are capable of. It's also fascinating that we're capable of neglecting them and believing that we're living in the worst of times. That's so fascinating. What's wrong with us? It's absolutely amazing. Protect new movies. Do you like films? There are films now you can watch. There used to be one, it's really bad film if you've seen it. Like there are tons of films. Science articles during this intro session today, 500 or so new peer-reviewed science articles will be published, more than they had in the box when they started Oxford University, during this little session before coffee. People say history will repeat itself. How could it? This has never happened before. There's no repetition. This is new. Our situation is new. We could do things that were never done before, but we need to be aware of these improvements, and we need to do more of it, right? Not everything is getting better. This was one fact question. I just need to emphasize the reason to pay attention to good progress is otherwise we will, if we think everything is getting worse, we will miss the actual worsenings. And here is one from the WWF, the Wild Planet Index, right? The vertebrate population decline is enormous. It's worse than people know. That is very unusual. Most of the misconceptions I measure are progress that nobody heard of. But this one is a worsening that is worse than everybody knows. Most people miss it. Even in this room, you work with biodiversity, many of you, but you didn't know how bad this situation is. That's why facts are important. Let me just summarize a big worldview. Vaccinated kids now is 87%. It should reach 100. Like we shouldn't miss the last children. And that means that they have now the initial things you need for industrialization. Educated nurses and mothers with 2 children, electricity and roads exist for 87% of people. Last picture, this is a worldview that is fact-driven. The country's distribution of people over income. Few have no shoes, we have cars, okay? But most people are in the middle, on a bike or a motorcycle, dreaming of getting that car. It has to be an electric vehicle or something sustainable, right? Let's invent that, because in the next decades, this is probably what will happen if we have no major crisis and GDP continues for 80 years like IMF is forecasting. I just made the IMF forecast all the way to 2018. Nobody can know this, of course. But this means that within the next decade, the rich tail in middle-income countries today are 50%. That's the rest of the high consumer market, emitting all that CO2. Look at how it will change. That's the world market. We thought the yellow thing here was the world market. That was the Western market. That was the trailer. The real thing is those 5-6 billion people moving up within the next couple of decades. We need to be part of that world. We need to be in the rest of the world if we want to influence standards, environmental standards, and so on, and equality. That's our integration challenge, integrating Europe into, or Western countries, into the world, or we're going to miss it. If we have a 60-year-old worldview, we call them shithole countries and we think nothing. No, they have changed. They are really running fast with China as a leader. So that world, I just want to end it with the enormous change that happened so far. Child mortality dropped 10 times during the last 120 years. That was, nobody believed that 100 years ago in Copenhagen. You should have seen it. It was miserable, right? Change happens. This we need to tell the young generation. My father is dead, but we're alive, right? And they are going to live. Let's tell them about the progress so that more can happen. Thank you very much.